All right. So, Amy, I'm so excited. Thank you for doing this. So, a lot of different reasons why I asked to interview you for this podcast episode. But when I think about you, some of the things that come to mind is you are such a busy mother. You're a wife. You work. You're in the church band, and outside of all of that, you are also have all these relationships outside of your family. And it always makes me wonder, how in the world is Amy doing all these things?
Mm.
Because I'm 32 years old, married, no kids. But some days I go home and I go, oh, thank God that I just have time to just have the peace and quiet to myself. So it makes me wonder, first of all, how are you playing all these different parts and roles in your life?
Oh, such a good question. But I'm honored to be here. So
Yeah.
special. And I feel like me smiling. Just I can't stop smiling at you. I'm so excited. I'm not, I would say I'm not doing it all in the sense that I think I think that I can do it all.
Mm.
Um, but something is always sacrificed for what was that?
It's okay. That was her fault.
Should we
Oh,
start over?
but sorry, no, you're
Okay.
fine. You say you don't
Answer
do it at
from the
all.
beginning again.
That's fine.
I don't think that I do it all, but I think that there are times and seasons where things ebb and flow, um, and if you like, it's easy to look from the outside and think that somebody is doing it all
Yeah.
or having it all, but there is no way to have it all. So you prioritize what things are important for you in that season, and then put your resources there, whether it's energy, time, focus, money.
Yeah.
A lot of my relationships now are around, like, it's kind of multitasking, like they're around things like my children. The Lord has blessed us very much in that we have dear friends who have children our girls' ages.
Okay.
And so we do a lot of life together.
Yeah.
And those people have become just the best friends. I just realized I tapped the microphone.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
that's so fine. So it's interesting.
answer?
No, that answers very well. So it's interesting because I was stalking social media pages on Facebook. You probably saw it. It was early in the
All of a
morning,
sudden,
early
like
at night.
30 likes. I was like,
I was thinking, I'm like, Amy's gonna be, what's my man doing on my
I had a
Facebook?
feeling.
But I saw that, like you mentioned, there are all these people that you're going to soccer games with, that you're doing all these things with, and things like that. I know there was one individual, I think Christine. Does that ring? Christine rings a bell. And even for your birthday, like her posted, like, Amy is one of the best people in the world. How is she maintaining all these relationships with such a busy, life? So it brings something up for me. I know when we were talking recently, when I asked you to do this, and I said, I know you're so busy, so you're not able to do it. This is totally fine. And you mentioned something that in the line of, you're being careful with what you're saying yes and no to.
Yes.
And for me, it's like, oh, that's something that I really want to learn. This idea of like, not everything is a yes in every single season. For you, it triggered a thought in me that something has kind of had to happen. That there had to be some type of evolution for you to kind of go to this place of, I don't just say yes anymore. I'm curious to know for you, like, how were you before in terms of setting boundaries with what you said, with what you said no to, and kind of what happened for you to get to this place of, yeah, no, I'm very careful with my yes.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't think that I've been great at boundaries previously, but kids are a wonderful teacher.
Oh.
And husbands who also provide great feedback. But I think that I have had to learn that when you say yes to something, it's a no. It's going to be a no to something else. And so that no could look a lot of different ways. It could look like getting to put my kids to bed at night.
Oh, wow.
Is that an okay no to say? Sometimes yes. Sometimes it's okay. Daddy's putting them to bed and I miss out on it that night. Maybe I do it the other 6 nights with them, but maybe I miss that one. So it helps. I feel like kids have really put things in perspective for me about what is most valuable.
Okay.
And so I used to say yes to all the requests from all the people from church. I love people. I love being busy and getting to do a lot of different things. But one of the things that has, like, for example, I used to serve every weekend on the worship team, and then kids came on.
Yeah.
And when they were babies, I'd strap them in and we'd go and we would do it. But then over time, it was like, okay, this might not be the healthiest yes for my family. And finding that there's joy for me in building that peace for my family. And so like now I'm like, to say I'm not doing it all, it might look like I'm serving once a month in that capacity, trying, because there's also other capacities that I'd like to serve in, but maybe they fit a little differently into our lifestyle with what the kids are. For example, my girls played soccer and they needed a coach, and I'm already there. And look at all these beautiful families and kids that like are excited about this and could use, nobody wanted to do it. So they asked me to do it. And that's a yes I could say yes to, because I'm already there. It fits with what my family's already doing. And I think what helps with that is the Lord's leading and prompting. And so when you were talking about the podcast, I thought kind of about the evolution and the growth throughout my life. And I think I used to be driven by achievement. Like I really thought achievement was it. And as I've gotten older, I've learned what is the point of achievement. Right. Like just to say that you've done something, or you got a certain degree, or you did this, like, what is the purpose and the point behind that? Is it to tap yourself on the back and to prove to yourself that you did something? Is it to make your parents proud? Is it, or does it fulfill a purpose that God put in your life? And so when your identity and your value can now be placed in the Lord, and what just being his, like not even doing anything for him, just being his kid, that is life-changing. And you no longer say yes to things to fill a void in you by what you receive, right? You say yes to the things that God is calling you to. And sometimes it's like, oh Lord, do I say yes to this? I don't know. I really want to. Oh, maybe not in this season.
Wow. I had so many thoughts as you were saying that. So part of the reason why I started this podcast is because I know for me, there have been so many seasons in my life where as a young woman, I'm trying to figure it out. And then you, as a woman who is a believer, and also as someone who is in this society where a lot of the noise out there is always about grinding more and more and more, is that there's always never enough. And I feel like like I remember when I turned 25 years old, I had like a mental breakdown and I was crying because, and I remember my friend asked me, man, what's wrong? And I said, I'm supposed to be married and have children in a house by now. And I was just 25 years old. But there's this idea of like, you graduate college, you get married, you have kids, you have this career, you have a house. And then you realize that, wait, life doesn't really work that way. So I noticed that even other women in their 30s, there's other social expectations of, you're supposed to be doing this and doing that and climbing the ladder and stuff like that. And at some point it's like, oh my gosh, like, is this really what I should be doing this season? So I know you mentioned about the girls, like, having a family, and for you that helped to be able to take a step back with what's more important. What are some other things for you that kind of help you go, wait a minute, I need to kind of shift my priority, whether before the kids or after the kids?
And I think what you said is so true, that a lot of people have a lot of ideas about what our life should look like. And we have to be careful. And it was wonderful what you did to recognize, wait a minute, where am I getting that, what it should look like from? Is it from the Lord, or is it from what I see around me? Is it from an idea I have in my head? And life is so rich when it's lived like freely, not according to other people's expectations or what we think things should look like. That's like very rich living, because it's full of grace. It's full of pursuit of the Lord and seeking his will for your life. I think I am similar in that, like in my past, and now even I have to keep it in check. I can grind with the best of them, and I can strive and work really hard, and that's something that has served me well. But also can be out of alignment and out of it can also lead to unhealth and make me think that it's all on my own. And I think that, like, before the kids, I wasn't good at saying no. So I'm not sure how to answer your question and like what other things helped me to do that.
Do you think that if the kids did not come along, you would have still been that person?
Ryan would have been like, nope, nope. I also think that at some point your health runs out. And I think that so we had kids. I had my first while I was in fellowship. And looking back, there were different things where my health was not as good as it could have been. For example, when I was sitting for my master's exams and things like that, and my thesis, we also had a Christian musical company out of our church, and we were debuting a brand new show.
Oh, wow.
I was one of the leads, and I was also planning our wedding. We were engaged. I was getting married.
Wow.
And I was happy as a client. I was like, this is great. Everything's wonderful. These are all really good things and have really good value, but I was losing chunks of my hair.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I remember my hairdresser for my wedding was like, what's going on? Where's your hair? And I was like, is it falling out? I thought it might be falling out. And she's like, it is. What's happening? You're stressed. And I said, I don't feel stressed, because everything was getting done. And so that's, again, where it comes back to the Bible of like, everything may be permissible, but not everything is beneficial.
I was just sitting here thinking about that quote.
For our health. And so if it wasn't the kids, I think it would have been health.
Okay.
And it will creep up somewhere if you're paying attention, whether it's health or you're not, or letting certain things drop at work that maybe you shouldn't be.
Right.
That probably scream a bit like, whoa, take inventory here.
Yeah. It's so interesting. And I was just having this conversation. I can't remember who I was having this conversation with. I think actually was Joel, my husband. And I was saying to him, for the past years, I've always been someone who, thank God, perfect health. But there's always once a year where for a week I feel like I get very sick. And for me, in the past years, it's always been my thing. And it's interesting because on one end, God has blessed me with this perfect health that I don't have to worry about a lot of things. But on the other hand, I cannot take advantage of that, where it's just I'm just going to drive myself to the ground, and I never give myself rest. And when I get sick, that's my body's way of saying, okay, ma'am, I'm done with you. Get some rest. So it's just so interesting how very often we can just run ourselves. And it takes something, for some people, it takes something terrible to happen. For them to go, wait, let me take a pause. And for other people, it's something great, like having a family that goes, wait a minute, I need to really change my priority a little bit.
And what you said, I had two thoughts about what you said. I think it reminded me, there were some periods before we had the girls, and even before I was married, that a family member had like a stroke or a significant issue, which also causes you to take stock and be like, am I spending my time where it is most meaningful? But then the other thing to think about is, why are we driving ourselves into the ground? Why? Like, if you sat back and thought through it, like, what is it that is causing you to do that? Is it because you love the feel of it, like the thrill and the hard work and feeling like you've expended yourself? Is it because you're afraid of something? Is it because you're scared you're going to miss out? You're scared if you don't grind that hard, something's not going to happen for you? Because what I have found is that my striving often gets in the way of God's best. And that if I sit back and I rest in him, I still do my best. So the change goes from just seeking drive and ambition and achievement to seeking being a good steward who lives with excellence with what he puts in my hands. You can rest in his promises of, I'm your provider. You seek me and you will find me. And he will guide us for what is good, the purpose that he put inside us to be fulfilled. He wants it fulfilled even more than we do, because that's how he designed it. So what he has for you, you're not going to miss because you didn't stay work until midnight the night before, right?
That is so powerful. So you were talking about kind of taking a pause and just having God do his thing. And it reminded me of, maybe this was 3 months ago when I was working at a restaurant? Okay. I was working so I started a full-time job, and my mom is listening. I feel like she's going to say something, but as you're aware, I was working at this company previously that was just like driving me, to the ground. And when I left from there, I was working so much, and for how much I was making or not making was not even reflecting all the hours I was putting in. And then when I left, and after Jordan, I got married, and then went to this university I'm working with, there's this part of me that's always trying to play catch up, right? So it's like, well, I didn't really make much money with where I was. So now, even though I have this work that's paying way more, let me get a part-time job so I can make up for the gap of the time that I did not really make much money. And I went to go work at a restaurant. I got fired very quickly.
No, I didn't know about this.
Yes.
So who would fire you?
I know, that's how I'm kidding.
Are you kidding?
But yeah, so I got fired. And their thoughts was, you don't move fast enough for us.
So you should be the host, like put you with the people.
Can I tell you? I'm like, I am a great hostess. I'm a great customer service person. I am not the let me take your order and run back and forth in the kitchen and back, back and forth. So I got fired. But it's interesting, when I got fired, I think they texted me while I was at work. Right, babe? I can remember. They texted me one day, like, hey, unfortunately, we have to let you go. I was not even mad. I'm like, I understand. I would have fired myself. Because I'm great with the people.
Yes,
but I just came from a full-time job. The up and down memorizing this menu isn't that serious. So they fired me. But the reason I brought that up, because the moment I got a text message, and it was a text message, not even a face-to-face. I got a text message like, hey, we're letting you go. And immediately I was like, looking for a new job. And I remember just sitting there looking, and it's like the Lord said to me, man, that's not what you need right now.
Oh, so good.
And I just remember sitting there like, yes, I do. Like, have you seen my income? But I just felt strongly God saying, you don't need it. I'm going to provide. And I was just like,
and he does.
And that's the thing. And I remember sitting there like, God, like, I know you do provide, but like, have you seen how much I make?
You see these lines.
You see these lines?
Yeah.
But it's so interesting because, a friend of mine is getting married in April. And with Joella being in school, like, I feel very guilty to use her finances for the wedding because I'm a bridesmaid. And I was thinking, man, she just find a part-time job to work and make the money for this wedding. And we were just having this conversation like 3 days ago. And then today I get an offer that I'm getting at least 10, 15, 20 times increase in salary.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, so it's just so amazing how it's so important to. Sometimes when we're in a season, it's so hard to see that.
It is.
Like, it's so hard to see, like, God is gonna take care of you, and then He does, and you're like, oh wow, you do come through. Yeah. But then the sad thing is, He comes through, and then the next season, the next chapter, we need
reminders.
You're like, wait, and then He does it again, and you're like, well, and it's interesting. It reminds me of a song you all sung on Sunday. I think called "I Witnessed It."
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that song? I know you mentioned it's part of your testimony. And when I listened to the lyrics, it was just like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
Let me hear a little bit about.
I feel like that. That is so good. I'm so excited
for those who don't know the
you.
song.
Yes.
Explain a little bit.
It's from the Passion. I think it came out of Passion Worship.
Oh, okay.
And it's called "I've Witnessed It." So I didn't write that song.
Yeah.
Did you think I wrote it? Did you think I wrote it?
Should I say yes? I'm kidding.
No.
No, I knew that you all got it from somewhere.
Yeah.
But it was such a beautiful song. It's such a touching song.
It speaks of the Lord's faithfulness. And I think I'm so excited that you had that experience with the Lord.
Yeah.
Because it deepens your walk. And I think the longer we live, the more of those experiences we have, which is where that wisdom and aging comes from, because you're like, no, I've seen it, I've witnessed it. But the song talks about the faithfulness of the Lord. And just to put it simply, and I have seen Him provide in ways that were miraculous in our life. I have seen Him so we had some news about our second daughter when I was pregnant, and we were told that she wouldn't survive. And the way that He showed up as immediately, and the way that He poured out comfort and peace, we were of course sad, grieving may not be the right term, because I don't know if we quite got to that point, but we were shocked. And we were sad, and we were so disappointed. But the Lord, how He met, especially I can speak for myself, me in that time, was life-changing and worship-changing. I think it's changed the way that I worship, because it's changed my understanding of Him in terms of how He comforted and came close and spoke to me in ways that I hadn't experienced prior, even in other hard things prior. And then on top of it, He chose to heal her.
Wow.
And if we like, I remind myself, and as I'm getting older, it becomes more and more evident, like, why are we grind and we forget that this life isn't it. This life isn't everything. And the reason we are here is for his glory and his kingdom. And it's only passing through. It's only for a short time period compared to eternity.
Right.
And our purpose is in eternity. We live it out here.
Right.
But our purpose isn't just, and this is speaking to myself too, make as much money as we can, do all these things, because it'll give us a good life here. He will give us a good life here. And he will take care of all the things as we live according to his promises. It's not bad to want to make a lot of money. It's not bad to want to be able to even just make enough to pay bills and not have the stress, right? All of that is important. But it releases the pressure when we remember whose we are, because he shows up time and time again. And I love that you saw the direct, like, it always blows my mind, and it's happened many times in my life. We could fill a whole podcast talking about the ways that he's shown up, but every time he does it still blows my mind, especially when it's that tangible of like, I think you're saying no, because I'm not hearing him audibly all the time, but I think you're saying to wait, so I'm just going to try to be obedient. And then for something so tangible like a contract to show up, and it's like, it's incredible.
No, it's so incredible. And and I tell people sometimes that, man, if I was God, I would slap me.
Yes,
because
then you forget.
Yes, because the amount of times God has shown up, and it always blows my mind, like, man, you ungrateful child. I feel like God shows up and it's like, oh, thank you, you showed up, and it's like 2 minutes later, oh my gosh. And it's just so interesting, because when I think about a lot of us women, whether in our 30s and our 20s, and I hear it gets better once you hit 40. So I listen to a lot of podcasters who are women in their 40s or at least 40s, and they always say, oh, thank God when I turned 40. Because when I turned 40, there's so many things I did not care about, so many people's opinion. And it seems like people get in their 40s, they become so much more grounded in their identity. And it makes me wonder, like, women who are in their 30s, 20s, who are just trying to figure out, I feel like being late 20s, early 30s, you always feel like you're behind. You always feel like you're behind. You could be making good money, but it's like, I'm not married yet. You could be married and say, but I don't have a child yet. You could have the baby, you can have the marriage, you can have the wonderful career. It's like, but I don't have a house yet. There's always constant, I don't have this yet, but I don't have this yet. When you look back in your 30s, 20s, what was that like for you? Oh, I know you mentioned you were super driven.
Yeah, that's so interesting to think about, because you're right. I think that we have this, and everybody's is different, but some kind of ideal that we're striving for. And where does that come from and why is an interesting thing for each of us to think about. And is that where we should be putting our focus? Is that what's best place to put our focus? But it's true in what you said. I feel like around like 40, I'm 41, and I feel like around there, some of that lifted. And that's it's so interesting, because I try to think about what it is that lifted it. And I think it's a combination of a number of different factors. But I also kind of felt that way in my 30s. I think when we moved back near where we wanted to, like near our families and the community that we wanted to raise our family in, I think I remember feeling this sense of contentment. But I think some of where we can help ourselves to get there sooner, that contentment sooner, is to shut off the noise, shut off social media, shut off the comparison, right? And you mentioned identity, like, what do those milestones mean to us and why? I try to think back. It's so funny. 20 doesn't feel that long ago, but then I don't remember as well all my mindsets. I think I was all like going to school for as long as I did, through things a little bit, because I was in school until I was 31, including my fellowship. And I remember feeling a little bit like my sister had been working for a long time, and I wasn't paid while I was at school, and my husband was a pastor who wasn't paid very much in the beginning either. And so we were on one income, and it was I think I felt a little bit of a tension, not from my family, but from me internally there. And if I'm looking back, like, that's okay. Like that, it's okay. I don't have to make what they're making. Like, focusing on the path that God has set for you, and being so secure in that He has you, and that it will all be beautiful in His time. And that time looks different for everybody. And I think even now, there can be a little bit of that, of like, is this the career I'm going to do for the next, like, we can always find something to wonder about. So we have to, I think, protect our focus, our contentment, and whose we are, and what we're doing because of whose we are.
Yeah. That makes sense. No, absolutely. Well, you mentioned earlier about, I keep coming back to this because I feel like this is something that we all really struggle with for a very long time. You mentioned earlier about you were driven by achievements.
Yeah.
What were you trying to achieve?
It's a great question. Who knows? I think I was trying to achieve value. Ooh, it felt like I could cry even saying that, because it feels so yucky.
Yeah.
But I think
but it's true. A lot of us
trying to achieve value, and like, I always worked really hard, and so I think part of it was not knowing if I got good grades because I was smart or because I worked hard. And for some reason that mattered to me.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not sure why, because I was thinking about, like, my parents are so loving, healthy, like all the opportunities in the world, encouragement. Like, this was nothing in terms of, well, sometimes there is some unhealth and some injuries from parents. This was not that. Like, I think it's just part of my flesh nature, the way that I was born, or designed, or how the design morphed, where I got this thrill of achieving, and it like, maybe it's a dopamine surge, but it just felt really good. But it was never enough. So like, one achievement's done, and like, what is the next thing? Like, and that's what I think kind of what you're talking about too, about, well, then it's a house, well, then it's kids, well, then it's blah blah blah. And over time I've learned, like, achievement means nothing when it's not serving His purpose, or when it's not, like, what is, I'm just wasting my time, and I'm just like trying to fill a void of value that only He can fill. And recognizing that I'm loved by Him no matter what I do or don't do fills that void. That achievement won't. So then you have to find the next one. And then you have to find the next one.
And it's never enough.
Yeah.
And the world has a good way of reminding you, or trying to tell you that it's not enough.
Yes. And yes, I could talk about that for a long time. But
you mentioned your parents. I'm curious to know, because part of it is that you and Pastor Ryan are like, I mean, it's just such loving parents. And I see the Facebook notes about, oh my God, we had this great game this weekend. When you were growing up, you have a sister.
I do.
You have another
older.
sibling?
One sister older. Yeah.
How did your parents raise you? Like, what are some of the values that they raised you on?
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So it was very clear. I mean, one of the big ones is faith, right? Faith. And they had strong faith their own lives. My grandfather, my mom's dad, was a senior pastor for like many, many years, over 50 years. And then when he retired, he was an associate pastor. So he still did that. So there's a family legacy of faith and service and the Lord. And I'm grateful that that has passed on down to all of us. I don't think you need that to have strong faith. In fact, sometimes people have stronger faith when they don't have that, because they've had to really seek the Lord and find it on their own. But faith, being part of a community, a faith community, they've serving others, thinking about others. Also, my dad, I remember he told us, like, he raised us in a way that I think made us really strong. My mom too, 100%. I'm struggling a little bit with my words because I could talk about my parents and for days. They're incredible people, and trying to summarize it is hard for me. But my mom and dad, I think, both taught us strength in different ways. My mom is just strong on her own, and like you see it in how she serves other people. You see it in how she lives her life. You see it in how when she chooses like to think on the bright, like positively, despite things being really hard for her, which is amazing. She has some health conditions that people don't even know about just because of how she carries herself. I remember seeing them reading their Bible. Worship was big. They talked about everything. So family was another important value. I never felt like there wasn't something, like there was anything that I couldn't talk to them about. They also built a family culture that we wanted to be a part of, and that our friends wanted to be a part of. I think that was really important. And I was proud for my friends to get to know my parents. Like, and they were intentional about getting to know our friends and their families and building connections, which I think just helps in that relationship. I think relationship is really big when you're a parent for your kids for a number of different reasons. But it's hard for me to summarize. You said that. So I would say faith, serving others, and hard work. I think that also comes from them.
So do you think your sister, because you mentioned your sister also was in school for a while, worked for a while, do you think she feels the same way in terms of like, these are the values that I came up with, and also this idea of really having to work hard? Because you mentioned hard work. And then we talked about how you worked hard for a very long time. Do you think part of that was just see mom and dad do it, or part of that was like, I feel I need to do this in order to feel this level of approval?
I think I wanted to, so my sister and I want you to meet her. So different. So different. And I just think she's amazing. And I'm always like, I learned so much from her. I think being so different when we were younger, I didn't always understand things. I think it could cause some tension. Like we never really were all out fighting or anything like that. We were always fairly close, but as adults and understanding how she's different and how I'm different and how she shows love and how I show love and all of that has been awesome. And I feel like I gleaned so much from her, learned so much from her. But it's almost like yin and yang in some ways. I'm so grateful God gave me her, because I'm like, oh, I'm bad at all of those things that you're so good at. And instead of me feeling badly that I'm bad at it, I'm so grateful for you and like what I can learn from that, and also like what you're teaching me. Anyway, sorry, I got off topic.
No,
They're just the best people. But I think she would say the same thing probably about family values. I'm going to ask her now when I leave. But I also think that she takes really incredible personal responsibility for things. And sometimes, but she was also better at, like, if I got a 98 on a test at school, I would be asking, how can I do extra credit? If extra credit was possible and I could get a 110, I would stay up till midnight and do that.
Overachiever.
Yeah, in ways that weren't healthy. Like, and she was really great at being like, "What does that do for you?" She's like, if say she got a B, if she did, I didn't pay that close of attention to her grades. Maybe she didn't, but if she did, she'd be like, "Great!" Yay. Like, I'm not even interested in that. Like, I'm gonna put my effort where I'm interested. So there was a little more like wisdom there, probably, and logic, versus I'm like, I'm going to copy these notes over 4 times because I don't think they're neat enough. And what will happen if I don't? Yeah.
Is Pastor Ryan similar to you, or is he
more?
Okay.
No.
What is he like?
He tested out of so many college courses. And just because he would go, he'd be like, here's the textbook for this course. I'm going to skim it. Go in and take the test and ace it and be like, he tested out of so many classes. And so I think because I saw the differences there, I thought maybe I'm not smart. And so maybe I have something to prove, but maybe I'm smart because but in reality now as an adult, I look back and I've taken some tests and some different things, and I've learned I am smart and maybe I didn't have to work that hard. Do I regret working that hard? No, I don't, because I think there were so many lessons I learned in that, and character building and development. But it's just been a cool experience to learn that. Ryan's more chill about all of that stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And you two, did you get married in 2009? Is that correct?
2010.
Oh, 2010.
Yep.
Okay.
And like I said, I was still a student, a grad student, and sitting for like my master's things. I was in a terminal doctorate, so I got my master's as part of the process.
Yeah. How did you two meet?
Oh, as kids at church.
Really?
Yeah, when we were younger.
I did not know that.
But then we went very different ways. And we actually ended up at the same high school together. And he was like, I was president.
Oh, okay.
Of my, and I don't say that. I don't say that to brag. I say that because, like, now I look back and I'm like, how did those benefit my current life?
Yeah.
And again, I don't regret it because I learned a lot of lessons. I think it was actually a great experience, and I would not discourage anybody from doing it.
Yeah.
But it's not like a gold medal.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what is a gold medal? But it's not like, right? It's not like something that benefits my kids in any way. But lessons were learned. Versus he was like, just happy, like
Pastor Ryan just seems so chill.
Yeah, party guy. Like he's doing the studio making music. I'm like, let me take organic chemistry early. Like, yeah.
Well, isn't that so amazing though? It's like, there's one person that's like, oh my God, everything has to be perfect.
Yeah.
And there's another person that's like, you're fine. Yeah. And you both just end up with amazing life anyway.
Yeah. And learning from each other.
And
I think that there's things to take from both that help you live. Like I want to live a life of excellence unto the Lord. I don't want to live a life of perfection. I used to, I don't anymore. And the joy in that is huge. And the freedom in that is huge. And recognizing, like, even for this, like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, I would have prepared for this for weeks. I would have had multiple notes and practice and rehearse, and learning that it's best when I do my best to prepare, but that doesn't look like causing unhealth for myself. That looks like walking in with the knowledge that like it's not my own work, it's God working through us and in us, and he's going to do what he needs to do with it. And the freedom of being his kid, because I can trust that.
Oh, that just takes off so much pressure when you know that I don't have to be perfect,
and you can't be. So when you try to be,
you're just yourself in a reason.
You're never going to be perfect. It just is not a great life.
I am curious, because you mentioned about you strive for excellence in the Lord, not for perfection. How would you differentiate those two?
I think perfection is like what it looks like maybe to other people, or what I think perfect looks like, versus what the Lord's called us to, being a good steward with what he's put in our hands, surrendering everything to him every day, doing my best with what he's given me, but also recognizing, like, sometimes on Tuesday, that might mean I can put 10 hours into this. Tuesday of next week, I might not be able to, and being okay with that. I think it takes some of the pride. It moves it from pride and about self to giving him what I have.
Wow.
That's that season.
That's powerful. So something that I was thinking about while you were talking was, when we were having a conversation about a few weeks ago, you said something that I thought to myself, I need to figure out how to do that. And it was pretty much like reprioritizing the things that are important to you. So you mentioned about how you used to exercise a lot. And now you say, now I'm in a season where, for me, being healthy is getting good sleep.
Yes. Did I say that?
Oh, you said.
I should have done that.
And I made a note of that, because that's something I struggle with. Like, once upon a time, I used to be, oh my gosh, if I did not exercise at least 5-6 times a week, something was wrong. And then I got to a season where it's just like, Lord, if I can just do once a month. And I went through this season where it's just like, okay, Maman, you have to be really honest with yourself. And I had a friend of mine who will try to hold me accountable, and he's into fitness. And Maman, even if you just do 15 minutes a day. And there was this season I'm like, I really can't do 15 minutes a day. Like, I don't know how to explain that, because I was in such a grind mode. I genuinely can't do 15 minutes a day. So then I got to this other part of my season where I'm just like, you know what? I need to just figure out, what does healthy look like for me in this season? And I know Joy and I, at some point, we were eating a lot of Chinese food. And I was saying, hey, I think in this season for me, if I'm not able to exercise as much as I love to, for me, eating healthier has to be what being healthy is for me. But you mentioned that quality sleep. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Oh, I wasn't great at that because I would just work through. I'm like, oh, I have energy. I can work through the night. I remember in college, I would pull all-nighters all the time. Yeah. And they didn't affect me then. I mean, they did. Let's be real. They sure did. But
when you're younger, it's different.
It is different. And they affect me very differently now. Yeah. And it's like 2 weeks. It feels like it takes 2 weeks to recover. But quality sleep, meaning that I've sometimes been like, oh, I'm not going to watch that show now. Sometimes I watch it anyway.
I was going to say.
But when I'm doing really well, being like, oh, we got to turn it off because I need to. And again, recognizing that if I say yes to the show with you right now, Ryan, that means that I'm not going to be as efficient and productive tomorrow at my work, which means that that's going to carry over to the next thing. When you're in a season this has been the most demanding season of my life, my short life, right? 40, I'm hoping there's like another 50 years after that. Yeah. But when everything's so demanding, there are cascading effects for all of it. Yeah. And I don't always have the mindset to remember that, but when I do, and making sure like sleep has become a significant priority in our house.
That's something that I'm working on a little by little. Because yesterday he was up watching this documentary. The next thing I'm like, oh, I don't want to watch it. Next thing you know, he falls asleep. I'm up watching it.
That happens every time.
Because I'm so invested. I'm like, wait, I need to see what happens.
How are you sleeping? They're gonna wreck the Mayan ruins. Like, what's happening?
I'm like, babe, are you sleeping? He's like, yeah. I'm like, did you see what happened? Like, no. I'm like, what do you mean you're sleeping? But it's just so important. And I think it's just, as a person, as a woman, period, I think it's just so important to really recognize, because I feel even for me, I still struggle with this. My mom always reminds me, like, honey, and she always says, take it easy, like things won't get figured out. But then there's always this, like, no, I need to do this, I need to do that. And constantly, even for me, like right now, there are times where I have watched the extra episodes of the show, and then I woke up tired, and I have in my calendar that I'm supposed to exercise. And it's like, if I don't exercise, it's like, oh, but I told myself I'm going to do it. Yeah. And sometimes it's kind of like giving yourself grace, like, okay, that was a bad decision.
Yes.
To stay up late.
So this is the consequence, but next time.
Right. But next time,
Next time I'll choose different. Also, when you hit 40, if you don't sleep, if you don't get good sleep, like for me, maybe not for everybody, but for me, I'll be like, I don't weigh myself every day, but I will be bloated. I will be 3 pounds. There's some jokes, like some memes that I've seen where it's like, I got 1 less minute of sleep and now I'm 5 pounds heavier. And that's true. That is true here. So sometimes sleep has actually become, I've had to think about, because I used to be like, oh, I haven't exercised. I'm going to exercise at 11 o'clock at night and then I get it in. Gosh, yes. But now I'm like, no, I actually see how that's worse for me than if I sleep.
That was me on Wednesday. I think on Tuesday was the same thing. Then I got home and I told my mom, you told yourself you're going to do it, just do it. And I did. I'm like, oh, that felt great. Yeah. And then on Wednesday, same thing, I was so tired. And then I'm like, okay, am I going to really push myself, just eat dinner and relax? And I ate dinner and I relaxed. And I'm still here.
And the cortisol drops. I think when you hit 40s, I think your body is also more vulnerable to cortisol, stress hormones. Yeah. And like, so then inflammation goes up, everything goes up. So when you make choices to actively pause and rest or sleep versus run yourself ragged, it makes a big difference health-wise. And like,
it makes a big difference.
Your clothes, I see it, I feel it in my clothes. So I was like, oh, I do have to start prioritizing sleep.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. I started saying this recently when I was in my 20s, and like early 20s, mid 20s, I would hear women say, oh, when you hit your 30s, your body changed, everything changed. And I thought, not me.
Why do we think we're the exception? I do the same thing.
We always think we're the exception to the rule. But I said, oh, not me. I'm like, I'm perfectly healthy. Like, I exercise. Because, you know, I think at some point when things are going so well, you don't always see like what's in the corner. And no matter how many times we'll tell you or things change, you're like, oh, no, not me. And then I hit 30. I remember when I hit 30, I got up in the morning. I'm like, do I feel different? And the answer was no. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe it's just, I just turned 30 today. And then 6 months go by, no difference. And then I turned 31. And I'm like, they were just lying. Like, I knew I was exception. And then I hit 6 months before 32. And I was like, oh my gosh, why am I so tired? Oh my gosh, now I'm lactose intolerant. Like
no.
all these changes are happening to
Yeah.
my body, and I'm like, oh gosh. Sometimes we have to take so much wisdom
Yeah.
from the people who've kind of like ahead of us a little bit. And I think for me, that's one of the things I love about podcasting, because I listen to a lot of people who are older than me. So even with being married, listening to the do's and don'ts and how to create like a better system with your partner to make sure. Because one of the things that I hear about a lot among women is this idea of, I can't remember the exact phrase, but invisible labor. I don't know if you've heard.
Yeah, like mental load, invisible load.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's something that I hear about a lot. So for me, it's like being newly married. It's like I have this conversation with older women, and it's like, what is that? How do I prevent that? How do I prevent myself from kind of getting to that, or at least minimize it? Is that something that you've experienced?
Yeah.
Really?
And I think because at least for my family and in most of the families that I am familiar with or that I know, I think it's the way that God designed us as women, like Adam's helpmate, right? That we carry a lot of and we carry the baby. Actually, sorry, I'm all over the place. But as I'm thinking, we actually are the vessel for the baby, and so the baby is biologically connected to us. We can feed the baby sometimes. Not everybody can, but with our bodies, right? That's how we're designed. So I think it ends up becoming this really cool role or identity that we end up holding a lot of that. And so like thinking about where the kids go, what they need, I do the grocery shopping, I do all these things. And I don't even always realize that I'm doing that subconsciously. And Ryan has been great about being like, what can I do? Like, what can I be helpful with? And it wasn't always like that. Like in the beginning, there were times when I would get resentful and I'd be like, why am I doing everything? Like, why am I doing all this? And then I'd realize like, oh, he doesn't even know. Like, and it's not fair of me because I never said it. And I do think some of that is biological. And he has said, you think about things and think through things that I've never done.
I'm laughing a little extra hard because I know Joel is listening.
Was that true for
Joel
you?
Joel is listening, and this is like, I love this conversation because for me, I'm always about, I don't want to have to learn the hard way if I don't need to.
Yeah, I picked that up.
I don't want to have to learn the hard way if I don't need to. So I'm really glad we're having this conversation because, and he's smiling too because yes, we've had the same thing where a lot of our fights in the beginning, even before we got married, was, I just want you to anticipate my needs.
Yes, we all women want that.
Yeah, I don't want to have to spell everything out. And because the things I would think about. Like I remember last week, I was just like, hey baby, can you please take the shrimp out of the fridge? And I said, babe, when you get home, you're gonna be tired. Don't worry about it. I will order Chinese food. Chinese is our go-to. And I said to him, like, and I was annoyed because for me, it's not just about dinner today. Yeah. If I don't cook tonight, we don't have lunch tomorrow, which means we're ordering food today for dinner, and then we're ordering food for tomorrow. And most likely tomorrow I have a long day. So if I don't cook tonight, we don't have dinner tonight, we're ordering. We don't have lunch on Friday next, so we're ordering lunch. And then possibly ordering dinner the next day. So for me, like, it's like skip of all these things that are happening. And I'm like, he's thinking like, right here, right now.
Yeah.
Which is so beautiful, right? Because again, I feel a lot of us women, we worry a lot.
Yeah.
About so many things. And then with them, it's just like, chill. Like, we have food right here.
Well, we're designed so differently. And so I feel like what helps, because you said, how do I avoid that happening to me? I think what helps is communication. And I was not good at, again, maybe taking some value off of being able to do it all.
Yeah.
I was not great at delegating, and I was not great at communicating. Oh no, I need this. And I even at one point said, and it felt really weird to say, but I was like, I think I really appreciate or would benefit from appreciation over, and I wish I didn't need it, but like over things that probably shouldn't need appreciation. Like, oh, thanks for thinking, like, thanks for always doing the groceries, or just that acknowledgement. And there are things that he does that I don't think about. He does all our finances. He does,
that's Joel.
Yeah, he does the yard work. He does all these things. And so I want to make sure that I also voice my appreciation for that too. I don't know if he needs it as much as I do, but I think because I need it, I'm like, I try to always give it. But me even saying that, like just saying that, made it so much better. And so I think, what are we sacrificing in our marriages for our pride? Because we don't want to have to ask and we don't want to say, because it means we aren't doing it all. Doesn't mean we're not capable. If we think about it, it means that it's not healthy.
And you're not supposed to do it by yourself.
No.
That's part of the point of having a partner.
And what happens when you do it by yourself, because you probably can, but it builds resentment, it builds a wedge, and you drift apart versus it being a team and bringing you together. And so being able to communicate ahead of time, I'm feeling like things are a little off kilter here. I'm feeling like things are off balance. And I recognize that I am the one that's home when the kids get off the bus. So it makes sense for me to do these things. Could you then do this instead? And thank the Lord for great husbands who are like, oh yes, I'm so glad you told me. Like, I just needed to know. And I'm like, okay.
Well, that's, that makes a lot of sense, and because I know when I see you and Pastor Ryan, you have such a vibrant marriage.
I'm laughing. What does vibrant mean?
Like you just seem so happy, you just seem so happy and supportive of each other. Like even when I see, like, when I was stalking you on Facebook, and it was just the way you speak about him, like, oh, my Ryan, oh, my Ryan.
I used to be on Facebook a lot.
I was just like, oh my gosh, Amy and her Ryan.
Yes, and he is such my Ryan. Did you notice I was on Facebook a lot when I was younger?
I'm not judging.
No, but I think that's another important piece. Like, I don't care about that stuff the way that I used to anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that shift. But I would also encourage people to be very mindful of their social media use.
Yeah.
It serves some wonderful purposes, but it also can very quickly get out of whack. But anyway, Ryan has just been so steady.
Yeah.
And so like his vision and what he wants and just how he has loved me just from day one has just been full of humility and steadiness and commitment in ways that I think have changed me. That was one of the things you asked me before. Yeah. I also think in a marriage, and there have been times when I have been resentful or gotten frustrated and carried that because I haven't been good at communicating it. And that's on me. That's not on him. I find that as I think for everybody in partnerships, that we have to think about not what they're not doing, but focus on what they are doing.
Because they do a lot.
They do. And they are doing things that he is carrying certain things that I don't even know about.
Yeah.
And so, and then especially when kids come along or jobs pick up and there's not as much time to just hang out, because we have a really good time when we can just hang out. And as we've gotten older, there's not as much time for that. We have to be really intentional about putting that time aside and making it happen. And we haven't always been good at that, but our kids are getting older and it is getting easier to do that too. Yeah. But appreciating versus looking at what's not there. Because nobody is perfect. Nobody can do it all. And being grateful for what they are bringing and who they are and how they've been created is such a happier place to be than focusing on the other.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And I think, as humans, even, like, I know for me, I had a experience recently where I was saying to Joel, about somebody in my family, where it's like, no matter how much I show up, if I take a quick step back to take care of myself, it's like, oh my God, you don't show up anymore. And for me, it's like, man, that pushes me away, because it feels like no matter how much I'm doing for you, there's always something that is never enough. And it makes me think about even about our relationship with God, and how, like, I'll go to God, I'm like, God, I need this and I need that and I need this, right? Versus it's like, my man, how often do you go to God and say thank you for the things you've done? But it's always like, I could say like a quick 30 seconds thank you, and then I have a 3 hours list. And then he does it and I go, oh, thank you. By the way, God, have you seen this other list? So it's just always so interesting.
Yeah.
But how are we on time?
We're getting close, I think.
Are we past time? 3 o'clock?
Okay.
Oh, perfect timing. So another question I was going to ask you is, having children, how has that been for you to have kids? Like, I mean, Olivia and Emma seem so different.
Yes, they are.
Describe them for me. Like, if you had to describe them in your own words, because Emma seemed a bit feisty to me. Like, even when I was reading your comments about, I think you asked her a question. I think there were a couple of things you put on Facebook I think as we're driving, and then you're singing top of your lungs.
And that was actually Liv.
Was it
Liv? Was like, let her sing it.
How old was she?
Like 4 or 5.
Oh my God, mommy, let her sing the song.
Yes, yes. And I'll be like, what is that? So Emmy now will be like,
really?
Yeah. She'll be like, I want to listen. And I'm like, okay.
Oh wow.
They're amazing, and they're smart, and they're fully themselves, which I think has really been life-changing for me too, in so many ways, to see and to experience like the love that I have for them, and to really appreciate who they are as individually and uniquely, and not want anybody to change that. Like never wanting them to think that they need to be different. And because God created each of us that way, right? Purposefully different. Like if you spend your time, if I spend my time trying to be you, then I've just said to God, like, this, what you did a terrible job. No, you really want more Maman. And he's like, Maman is amazing. You will never be as good as she is at herself, right? So why don't you focus on just being who I designed you to be, and being comfortable living in grace?
Because the crazy thing is, someone else is looking at you and they're thinking, I want to be more like Amy.
Maybe they might be.
No, for sure. And that's how it is, right? I feel like we're always trying to be like the next person.
Yeah.
And then there's always someone. It's so interesting. Like, I've been in spaces where, even at my current work, I can't tell you how many women now are watching, their health and diet. And because it'll be something, me talking about something about, health. And they've never said it directly to me, but I noticed that they started shifting. And now we all are holding each other accountable of like, hey, how many times did you go to Dunkin' today? Right? So there's always someone else watching you too, who think like, I mean, I see you all the time, and I'm like, Amy is amazing. Like, she's such a wonderful mother, such a wonderful wife, and she's serving. I'm 32. I don't have kids. And I'm like, I'm not serving as much as I would like to, or as much as I should. So there's always someone else watching you too, who are just like, I want to be like Amy.
And we're comparing. And I think that's the part. We're comparing with other people instead of being in communion with the Lord to see if he's like, if we're doing what he's called us to at that moment.
Right.
And you are so good at seeing people. Like I am from day one, I've been struck by that. How you see people, and how you care, and how you love them, and how you see the gold in them. And I think sometimes when you so easily do that, like, that's a gift. And it's not something that is like a title, really, right? Or something that you can achieve. It's just a natural gift that God put in you. I think that sometimes when you see the gold in everybody else, you don't always see or want to even think about the gold that God put in you. And that's okay to be, but it has to shift from, and I think you've done this because you're already more courageous, bolder, like than I ever was at your age. Like, you're doing incredible, doing this, like taking a first step and not being afraid to take a first step, seeking wisdom from other people. Like, there's so much that you're doing that's so excellent, and that's going to serve you well, but serve the purpose that God put in you. And I think that's where we have to put it back to, like, is it to be as good as this person, or is it to serve the purpose God put in me? And I can recognize, again, my sister and I, it's a great example for me and lesson. I can recognize all the things that she is great at, instead of trying to be that, appreciating it, learning what I can from it, but also recognizing this is me and I got some mess in these areas, but it's kind of good. Like, it's kind of great because it leaves me on my knees and surrendered to the Lord, which is where we need to be. And that's where the healthiest place is for us to be. And recognizing that it's not about me and it's not about what I can do. It's about him in me and just showing up to be that. And I think the girls, to kind of come back to it, I think the girls, just them living their lives have shown me that.
What, like, your parents instill so many great value in you and your sister. What, like, when you think about the kind of value you and Pastor Ryan are instilling in my Olivia, and thinking about even like, hey, because you said earlier, you can go on and on about your parents. Fast forward to God know how many years from now, Emma or Olivia are sitting and are having this conversation with someone. what do you want them to look when they look back? What do you want them to say about these are the value mommy and daddy instill in us?
Yeah. Oh.
No pressure.
No, it makes me well up. Because it's such an honor to get to be their moms, and I think every day. Well, let me pause on that because I could talk about that for a long time, but it's not going to answer your question, which is what I struggle to do. So I think I would want them to know just how crazy I am about them. Yeah. I don't know that that actually would be something that they could say is a value I instilled, but just how deeply loved, how crazy. Oh, I keep hitting the microphone.
You're
sorry.
Totally fine.
How crazy I am about them, and just fully in love with them, and then that God is the source for everything. God will always be there for them. God, line your life up, live for Him, and enjoy that process in the ups and the downs. Like it all comes back to that.
I think that is great value to pass on, because at the end of the day, I think a lot of us, or some of us, part of why we're striving for so much is because we're trying to prove our worth to someone.
Exactly.
Right? Whether that's like, I want my mom or dad to think I'm enough. I want my friends to think I'm enough. But very often, side note, I remember there's this pastor, I can't remember his name. I think he's from Voos Church or something like that. His name's escaping, but I remember he talked about how in one of his sermons, when him and his wife, when they were dating, when he came to approach her, he wasn't like, the typical guy, like, I'm going to tell her some sweet words and then she's going to feel captivated by my charm. But he always go to him like, girl, you're so beautiful. And then she goes, I know.
That's him. He said that.
And then he'll say, oh, you're so smart. She goes, I know. And at some point, he's like, what's up with you? She goes, my daddy told me that. So for her, it's like, sir, thank you, but I don't need your validation because my daddy already told me I'm enough. Right? In the same way how it's like God already told us we're enough. And we knowing that God loves us. I know for me as a woman, when I was dating, it was just like, my father loved me. So if you ain't gonna love me, you can kick rocks.
Yeah,
right.
That's so good.
I think just knowing that, wow, like mommy and daddy, like I look back and I know they love me and that they prioritize us and they let us be us.
Yes.
Right, not having to change. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I do too. And I think some of where, as we were talking, some of where my like hard work came, like my work ethic came from watching my parents and remembering, like my dad said, everything that you like, you're putting your name on it. Like you want to make sure that it is how you want to represent yourself, but also like wanting to live up to the wonderfulness that they were. But you can't do that. There's no way to do that. And so, and the same with the Lord, like we never will do enough to deserve His grace, His love. And recognizing that is freeing. It's really amazing. And so I think, like, I could talk about wanting the girls to think about others and think positively and all of that. But I truly think that at the end of the day, if you are living your life with the Lord and seeking Him, all of that falls into place. And so to simplify it, it really just goes back to that.
Is there any topic, question, something like on your heart that we haven't talked about that you like to touch on?
No, this has been so lovely. I think something I did think about before we came, something that has also been impactful for me is the verse in John. I think it's John 15:5. I am the vine, you are the branches. And recognizing that as someone who works hard, right? Grinds, likes to achieve, strives maybe, and needs to leave that at the foot of the cross. But we are nothing in our striving apart from Him. And a vine will die if it's not attached to the branch. And when we put our focus on ourselves, what we're doing, what we can do, if we're going fast enough, if we're doing enough, that takes us off the branch. And so I think that has been helpful as I've worked to learn that.
I mean, you've provided so much value in this conversation. I'm sure, for me, for sure, and just anyone who I know will listen to this conversation later on. I'm just curious, a lot of people, I want to say especially women, we've had a lot of conversation today about just some of the pressure and things like that. Feeling like, you're not enough, feeling like there's always the next thing, feeling like people are pressuring to certain things. And sometimes that also means that there's some things that have happened in your past where you still haven't healed from, but you are trying to use achievements to cover it up. If you were to end with one last message, what would you say to a woman like that?
To find yourself. I think find your identity in the Lord. And that is such a like ambiguous statement. I feel like I think I've heard people say that throughout my life and not really fully understood what that was until I walked it out myself.
Okay.
And to find your value and your identity in the Lord, which means that you are his kid, that you are his, not what you do for him, not how you serve him at church, not how you have a certain job or give this much to missions or anything, but that you're his kid, and that everything then flows from that. Everything, when things can flow from that security, you're more available for him and to fulfill his purposes in your life. And I'm learning that oftentimes that's just showing up as his kid, however he's designed me to be, and just to see what happens and what he does with it. And that's always better than what I think needs to happen.
It's always better.
Yes.
Oh my God. This was so great. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed this. And I know that I can see me listening to this episode, you know, and I know that someone else will be really blessed by it. So thank you so much.
I'm blessed by it. I'm blessed by you.
Good.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for making the time. Appreciate it.